Hi, my name is Reed Batchley, and I look forward to doing a little magic for you with the help of my 52 assistants. And we're going to start off by telling a little story, with apologies to Bill Malone, about Sam the Bellhop. Have you ever been to the 654 Club, John?
Never have.
Well, it's really quite a club, and about 3 blocks down the street, Sam the Bellhop has his restaurant. He calls it the Bellhop. Well, at any rate, one evening things were kind of slow. And would you cut the cards for me, please?
You bet.
Okay, fine. Things were rather slow, and Sam happened to look up, and he saw he had a burned-out light bulb. Well, no sooner did he reach up to change that light bulb when all of a sudden the big doors of his restaurant opened up, and in walked 1, 2, 3, 4 gentlemen, all dressed like kings. And they immediately wandered over to the bar, bought themselves a round of drinks. Sam puts away his stepladder, goes down to greet them, and they start chatting a little bit. And the 4 gentlemen, just like kings, allowed as to how they got into Chicago early that morning. Had a very exhausting day. And frankly, now we're kind of looking for a little feminine companionship. And they wondered, would you cut the cards one more time, please?
You bet.
Okay, thank you. And they asked Sam if perhaps he might know 4 attractive young ladies. Well, Sam looked at his watch, and he said, well, it's pretty late, but rather early either. So he went down. He said he couldn't do what he could possibly do. So he walked down 1, 2, 3 blocks, and 15 minutes later, he comes back with a smile on his face. And he said, gentlemen, look what I found for you. 2 beautiful brunettes and 2 redheads. Well, the gentlemen, just like kings, were absolutely delighted. They said, where did you find such beautiful women? And Sam said, well, I found them at the 654 Club. And he said, Sam, you've got yourself a $2 tip. Well, as the evening went on, the conversation rather died down a bit. And the kings and the queens, they thought, well, maybe a card game would pick things up a little bit. But they didn't feel they had enough card players to make it interesting. So again, they asked Sam, could you kind of cut the cards one more time?
Yeah.
Thank you. There we go. So they asked Sam, they said, Sam, could you help us out? We'd really like to play a game of cards, and we need 4 more players. Well, Sam looks at his watch. He said, well, I'll see what I can do. So off Sam goes, and he walks down 1, 2, 3 blocks. 15 minutes later, he said, well, I found you 4 card players. They're all named Jack. Well, needless to say, again, the Sam, they were absolutely delighted, and they said, well, where'd you find them? I said, I found them at the 654 Club. They said, Sam, you've done it again. Here's another $2 tip for you. Well, as you might suspect, guess what card game they decided to play? Poker. And it wasn't long before the 4 gentlemen, just like King, lost all their money. But they did have a $2 tip. And he said, went to Sam again, and he said, we have a $20 check. And could you cash it for us? We have a $40 check, and could you cash it for us and bring us back, say, 2 20s? Well, one more time, please.
You bet. There you go.
Thank you so much. Well, Sam, again, he looks at his watch. He says, it's still pretty early, but let me see what I can do. So down Sam went. He goes out again. He walks down 1, 2, 3 blocks. And 10 minutes later, he comes back and he said, gentlemen, they didn't have any 20s left, but I was able to cash your check for 4 10s. Well, again, he says, Sam, thank you so much. You've earned yourself another $2 tip. Well, these jacks and the queens and kings, they all kind of like to say, I mean, he was so accommodating, and they really went out of his way to be helpful. But they had one concern about Sam. He was no spring chicken. So he said, well, Sam, how old are you? 83? 83? No, gentlemen, I'm 93. 93, they exclaimed. My goodness. And the 4 gentlemen dressed like kings, they said, Sam, what's your address? We're going to stick around, take you home tonight, make sure you get safe. Sam said, look, my address is 1329 East 8th Street, but you don't have to take me home. I've been doing this for 60 years. And grab a cab, takes me right to the door. Okay. But then the four gentlemen dressed like kings. They said, Sam, can we ask you, do you ever gamble? Do I ever gamble? Sure. Well, where do you gamble? At the 654 Club. Oh, my goodness, Sam. You must have seen some pretty good hands in your time. And Sam said, well, as a matter of fact, I have. Just last night, there was this fellow, David, and he had 3 sevens and 2 eights. My goodness, they said, that's a full house. Did you win? No, Sam said he didn't. There was a fellow by the name of Clunky. He had 3 aces and 2 nines. Well, surely he must have won. No, he didn't. Well, who won, Sam, they asked. A fellow by the name of Badgley. He had a straight flush. And that's the story of Sam the Bellhop and the 654 Club. Now all we have to do is 52 pickup.